Hello, everybody. Come on into the QIA room. I'm so glad that you are coming in. For my replayers, thank you so much because it really means a lot to me whenever you go and look for the videos and you replay them. Now, of course, for my live players, I thank you also for joining in because the interaction is beautiful. I thank you so much. I am, as many of you know, I am Shamika Willis, also known as Lady Queen I Am. I am the owner of Queens in Action, the founder of Queens in Action. And today we have a special guest. Today we have a special guest that is going to be joining us. Her name is Penny ZENKER. When I tell you this woman is amazing, I cannot wait for you guys to hear everything that she's going to talk about, because I think it's so important that we especially watch out for people and listen to the wisdom that they have. I always tell you I can't do it within myself. So, I just want to acknowledge God and tell him thank you so much. And Father, we honor you and bless you and thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak, this opportunity even to magnify you, and that we can work in our gifts. God, we bless your holy name in Jesus' name. Amen and amunah. Now, thank you guys for joining me. I have a special guest for you guys. So what I need you to do before we welcome her in the room, what I need you to do is like this and then share. Once you like it and share, maybe tag a couple of people in there, people that need to know information as far as what Miss Penny ZENKER has to offer. And she is a productivity specialist. And when I tell you this woman is amazing, I want her to hear all the amazing stuff we're going to talk about. So before I bring her in the room, I want to make sure that we share and make sure you guys behave in the QIA room. We got to behave. We have a guest now, so we have to behave. So I want to thank you guys once again for joining us in the QIA room. And so without further ado, we are going to welcome Miss Penny ZENKER. Miss Penny, welcome. Welcome. We're so glad that you're in here. We are so, let me make sure this is, there we go.
There we go.
I think we can't hear you.
Okay, well, good morning. Can you hear me?
Maybe, yes. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about Miss Penny ZENKER. She is Philadelphia's top motivational speaker. She also has skills in helping individuals increase sales, boosting productivity, reducing stress, improving communication, and so much more. Listen, this great woman has been on NBC 10. She has been on TED Talk. When I tell you this woman is amazing, she is amazing. She has it together. Best believe she has it together. And when I was looking at her website, I was looking at all the information that she had. It really blew my mind. And so I started to watch her videos, and even kind of helped me even a little bit when I started writing down, I'm taking notes, because anytime, someone's speaking great information, I want to take the notes down. I want to make sure that I grasp every piece of awesome information and value that they have to give. So without further ado, Miss Penny, is the mic working now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
No.
No.
Might be
All right.
audio. You have to accept audio. What is it? The audio. If you go back to the mic and accept it.
You can't hear me?
No, ma'am. We can't hear you. That's okay. That's technical. It happens. That's our technical difficulties, but that's okay. So, but QIA room, that just, that is just prime example. Maybe that's given the QIA room time to share this video, because I think, I definitely know that with Miss Penny and the value that she has to give and what I've been reading on it. What you might have to do, Miss Penny, if you exit, you got it?
I may have to exit Zoom. Can you hear me now?
Because I wonder if sometimes, like I remember when I first came on, I had to exit out and then come back in and accept the audio and the microphone and all that stuff. So maybe if you try that. Yeah. So guys, let me tell you, this is going to be amazing. You know how the enemy always acts up whenever, something is going to be amazing. So definitely stick with us, because Miss Penny, like I told you, she's been on NBC 10. She's been on many TED Talks. She's been, she does the YouTube lives and, gives so much valuable information. Not only that, she has a few books out. When I tell you this woman's resume is amazing, she even was a coach with Tony Robbins. Now I know a lot of us know that motivate him being a motivational speaker. She worked with him also, like just an amazing resume of everything that she's done, from going from her humble beginnings to even building up a multi-million-dollar company. Like she's done this, she's done this great thing. Oh, I think she's back. So let's welcome her back into the room and let's see what's going on here. Let's see.
Hello, is it working now? Not yet?
Mine is unmuted.
Hello?
No, ma'am. We can't hear you.
What's going on? Let's see. Let's see.
You know what? I wonder if, let's see. You guys just stick with us a little bit. That's okay. Things happen, things happen.
Can you hear me now? Hello? 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 No?
Huh. Yeah, I know when you first come in, it says like test your mic maybe and all that stuff and accept it. Let's see.
I did.
Let's see. Oh, they say they can hear you, Miss Penny.
Oh,
they say they can hear you. Let's. You know what? I am. Let's try this. They say
maybe you have your headphones on.
Bingo. The microphone, but I'll turn that off. I'm okay with that. I'm so glad because they're excited. They're joining in the room. They're waiting to hear from you, being such an amazing, like I was telling you, such an amazing inspiration. I've watched your TED Talk. I've watched, your interview on NBC 10. You're doing such great things, even the books you have put out. And I understand even in productivity, that is definitely your niche. And you just blossom from there. So can you introduce yourself and kind of tell them exactly what it is, the nuggets that you would like to leave with them on how you kept pushing, how you kept just driving and going until you got to the place you are now?
Yeah, for sure. And you've already done a great job in introducing me, so I don't need to tell anybody really about too much about my background professionally, and they can look that up. But I think what's important is you said, and a lot of people see me this productivity person, and I want to frame that so that people understand what that means to me. Because a lot of people think, oh, productivity is about doing more and always about, accomplishing more. And sometimes, and especially in today's environment, productivity is different based on different circumstances. And so it could be, if your health is in challenge, the most productive thing for you to do is to sleep and to take care of yourself. And so, so I believe that productivity is about doing the best thing to create the best outcome given the circumstances. So I think it's important to create that expectation, because productivity is just in the way that we think. So do we think in a way that creates a productive result, a positive result for ourselves and for others? Or, are we creating unproductive thoughts and actions that we do and habits that are creating, then outcomes that we don't want? So I just wanted to kind of make that clear, because a lot of people, they've dubbed me. I do a lot of work around time management as well, but it's a lot of it is in how we manage our energy and how we show up for the time, versus you can read 1,000 blogs on what to do, and I can give some of those tips too, but it's really to understand what's in the way, right? It's more of the psychological factor.
Yes, ma'am. And I think that's very important, especially with you saying that, because the first thought that goes to mind when you say productivity is, okay, what am I doing? As far as that's the first thought, because that's where I went, to be honest. So that's definitely an eye opener, even hearing that. What helped you, I guess, keep pushing until you got even to the place that you are?
It's interesting. We all have our story. And some stories are more dramatic than others, right? I wouldn't say that I had a dramatic story, but I probably had a common story to a lot of people. I mean, I felt like when I was in high school, I felt like I wasn't smart. You know, my brothers were much smarter than I was, and they did well on tests, and they, you know, got into these great colleges and stuff. And I felt like I was being looked at and sort of played down to, like, oh, it's okay, you know, you'll be all right. Why don't you just take a class to take this test again? And I just kind of felt patronized and not appreciated for who I was, and that maybe my intelligence was different. But at the time, I took it really heavy, and I really felt like, well, I'm not smart. And I think that I'm glad that I had that experience and that I felt like I wasn't enough, because throughout my life, my experiences, of course, trying to prove that I am enough, right, has made me successful. Didn't always make me feel like I was enough. And I think that's an interesting, we're always chasing that thing that we want, right? And to recognize that it's always been there all along, you know, the Wizard of Oz story. But it gave me a lot of good gifts in my life. And then, you know, as I grew and was able to realize that I am enough with little tests. I mean, where I started my first business, my technology business, was actually, you know, I love technology, and in college I did so much with technology, and, you know, it's this part of me that wants to make things better, right, and create more value, because really, you know, it creates more value, and we can do things faster, and we can do more of the things that we love to do when we can employ, you know, certain types of technology. And so I had the opportunity, once I was sent over to Zurich, Switzerland. I was working as an auditor, actually, at JP Morgan in New York City. And I was sent over on an assignment, and I decided that I wanted to stay, and they were ready to send me back. And I had enough technology experience where technology was in, so I was able to, you know, to kind of work my way into a position with Arthur Andersen, you know, working on technology. But I always felt like an imposter, right? It only made that situation of me feeling like not enough even worse, right? Because I didn't have a technology degree, and I was managing this contractor who came in from the United Kingdom, and he sat across from me, and I was managing him, and he was getting $200 an hour, and at the time, that, you know, that was like 20 years ago, so that was a decent amount of money. It still is,
Yeah.
right? And so, and some friends approached me, and they're like, you know, we should create a business together. And I was like, oh no, you know, I can't, you know, I don't have the experience, and people look at me, I don't have any certifications or things like that, and, you know, it just wouldn't be right. And then one day it hit me, and I think we all have a day that we can remember where this happened for us, where we shifted our mindset completely. And I remember thinking, well, if he can do it, and I'm managing him, and I'm doing more than he is, and I'm able to solve these problems faster than he is, and I don't necessarily have more experience, but maybe the experience that I have is and with the other skills that I have, right, is making me be able to appreciate my value. So that's really what happened for me. And so he said, "Come with me." And that was, I think it was a big shift for me in my life to start, you know, owning more power. And so I did. I started this business with these other people. They all kind of fell off and didn't continue. But I built this company from just myself to a multi-million-dollar business, and I sold it to a public company in France. We had a lot of static coming in. Maybe somebody could mute the other mics or something. There's a lot of.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm sorry. I don't hear it at all.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, so, you know, so that's, I think we all have those moments, and we have to stick with those moments. And every time that I'm feeling like I want to quit, or, you know, and I still have those moments. There are moments where I'm like, is this really worth it? Is what I'm doing, am I making a difference? And because that's what it really matters for me, is I'm driven by that idea of creating impact and more value for people. And sometimes we don't get the feedback, or sometimes we get limited feedback, or feedback we don't want to hear. And it's important to also recognize, that's one person's feedback, right? Or one small group. But we also have to take that feedback in and take a step back and really take a good look at ourselves and say, well, what could I learn from this? Because sometimes we're rejecting the feedback where we really need to take it in and process it. So, those are some of the things that have driven me sort of business wise. And then there's some personal things too. So I don't know. I don't want to just go on and on. So tell me, you want to ask questions or?
Yeah, yes, definitely. If you guys want to ask questions, definitely put them in the comments. I think really all of us have felt that way, because especially when I started speaking and even coming on the lives, I was like, okay, I stutter a lot, or maybe the words that I want to say might not come to mind, and I don't want to just sit there and people look at me a certain type of way. So I struggle with that in myself also,
right.
Feeling like not enough. And I think it was more of a self thing. I was never told, okay, as far as growing up, I was never told that, I went through a bad relationship where it began to try to even pour more in there, but just feeling like you're not enough and then overcoming that. I think that's what makes the story amazing, is because when you have someone that feels like they're not enough and then overcoming all of those obstacles and beginning to push, past that, which I think is amazing. And Miss Penny, if there's something of or a nugget or something that you can leave with our listeners, with our viewers, to help them push past whatever they're going through, whatever it is that they might be faced with. What is the nugget of value that you've learned through all the years you've been doing this? What is something that maybe you wish you would have known before or early on that would help them out?
Wow. Well, there's so much, like to bring it down to one thing. So, maybe I'll do three things.
Okay.
Okay. I can't do one thing. It's just too many. Well, if I had to say one thing is we all ask ourselves a question in the moment, and it's unconscious. And we go on with our day and this question comes up probably a million times, right? And the studies I talked about in my TEDx, that one of the studies says that we have 10,000 thoughts a day, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there 95% of those are repeated. So it's because we ask this question, and it's our whole belief system that answers the question. And the question is, what does this mean? Simple. We ask that question all the time. If we just take the Viktor Frankl, recently, I keep getting this quote that's coming up in front of me, and I think it's really valuable. And he says, between the stimulus and the response, there's a space, a gap. And it's in that space that is our power to choose our response. And he says that, in that response lies our growth and freedom. And so with that being said, if we take that gap and we ask, what does this mean? And the initial thing comes up and it's probably not as productive as it could be, that original thought. So we have to ask the question again and again. So what else could this mean? What else could this mean? And suddenly we take, especially with what's going on in the world today, right? This is for any time. This is for when somebody says something and the first reaction is they don't love me, or they don't like me, or they're pushing me away. Well, what else could this mean? And I've used this question, like, for myself. It helps me to ground myself and choose the best possible answer that makes me look at a situation differently. So when I was going through a divorce, it's the worst thing in the world to have someone tell you that they don't love you anymore after 15 years together. So, but what does this mean? And I asked myself that, and I don't know why. I think it's because I started this process back when my father was killed in an accident when I was 19. And I think it gave me some incredible insight that started this process, that I started asking, what else could this mean? And find the most positive meaning. So it could mean that he's going through a life crisis. And so I don't have to, I can look at it differently. It makes me shape everything that I do and the way that I react with him completely different based on the meaning that I give it. So give yourself that space between the stimulus and response to ask, well, okay, that was my first meaning I gave it. What else could this mean? And what else could this mean? And by asking that, we open up perspective, we take ourselves back a little bit, and that gives us the ability to create a productive choice. And then it'll become automatic, right? Because for me, it's automatic, is I'm always reframing things and saying, well, what else could this mean? How could I look at this differently? And that could be everything. So that's the number one thing I would give. If you want me to give some other ones, I will. But that's the driving force for me pretty much my whole life. And I was only able to glean that it was like this question and this way to ask this question when I went through a neurolinguistics programming course, and my amazing trainer, Steve Linder, helped to frame it in that way.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Look, give them one more, just one more, because I know look, guys, she's a busy, busy lady. So, when I tell you, if you go and look at her website, when I tell you, just look up the name Penny Zenker. Just look up that name, and you'll see all the stuff that pops up when you look at that name. But okay, Miss Penny, just give us one more.
Thank you. And I've also started just started with YouTube. So I'm starting to put like a bunch of videos on there, so people can definitely go on there and subscribe. And as new content comes up, it'll let you know there's new content there.
Yes, ma'am. So okay, if there was one more, you can leave them. Leave them with one more, and that's it, Miss Penny.
And that's it. So I think the other thing that gets me through hard times, and it's very similar, and I want to stick to those things that help us through the hard times.
Yes, ma'am.
Because for many people right now, and everybody, I do want to recognize that everyone's in a different place right now. Some people are having, huge financial issues, and that creates a certain level of stress and anxiety. Some people are having physical health issues, right, where they got the virus and they're really struggling, and mental issues and emotional issues, are worried about your family, and right, there's so many different aspects. And maybe it's just some people who are home and they're bored. Everybody is where they are, and that's okay. We don't want to judge one because theirs is not as bad as the other, or so forth, is they feel what they're feeling. So the thing that helps me the most is there's a poem out there that is reason, season, lifetime, that everything happens for a reason. We go through things and meet people for a season. That's not, you got to look up the poem. I don't know it by heart. But the idea is that, that you might be with somebody, like maybe you have children the same age as someone else. So that might be a season in your life, and you share relationships and experience with somebody, but then those people go out of your life, right? They're not there anymore for the next season. And then you have people who are there for a lifetime, and they're there as part of your life, whether you like it or not. Maybe it's because they're family. Maybe it's because, you were married to them and you have children together, but now you don't anymore, but you still do, right? So it's that reason, like, are you there to help somebody through something, or is someone in your life to help you through something? So if we look at our relationships or any circumstance that we're in, and I know this is hard, especially when you're in a traumatic situation, is, if somebody were to say to me when I was grieving over my father's death, just get over it, look at it from another perspective, right? I might want to punch them. So there's a time and space when this is right for someone. And maybe it comes out in journaling. Like, you definitely have to accept where you are and allow yourself to feel the feelings. And then when you're ready to look at those different perspectives and say, like for my dad, when he died in an accident, one of the things I said, well, we look for a reason. Well, I said, well, what else could this mean? Well, he was going to die an even worse death, right? A painful, he died very quickly and instantly. So, how can we look at that reason, season, lifetime as well in our relationships as they change, to say, it's okay. Relationships come and go, and this was for this reason. And so we're both moving on in a different way. And hopefully what that does is to reduce the expectations. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have with ourselves and with others, is that we're so looking at what others' expectations are of us, or what our expectations are of ourselves. And we have so many of them that we're letting ourselves down in that context. So I know that was probably more than one thing, and I'm just like,
oh no, that's okay. We love it. I know that you're a busy lady and you definitely have other things coming up. But listen, Miss Penny, when I tell you, I definitely hope that we meet in person one day at some event or something. But we just thank you so much just for coming in the QIA room and just leaving that valuable information with us because as you can see, even some of the other comments, I wish I could put everybody comments up, guys, but all the other comments, like they're amazing, and they just appreciate you coming in and talking, with them. We definitely appreciate that. Everything that you have given to us today, that's a value. We do appreciate it. So, guys, you heard it first in the QIA room. Miss Penny Zenker came to Louisiana. Well, I'm from Louisiana. Miss Penny Zenker came to Louisiana to talk with us, to educate us, especially on this. And definitely go and look at her YouTube site. Look up her name first in there. And once you look up her name, it will show you different videos that she's done. And then you can go to the YouTube site because that's actually the way that I found it on YouTube. And so definitely go and look at it. Miss Penny, thank you once again for joining us. And I hope you have an amazing day. I hope the rest of your day is amazing and going into the weekend. But we do appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for creating this platform and sharing, your wisdom. And, it makes a difference. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Mwah.
Yes, ma'am. Bye. Let's see. All right, guys, let me tell you, thank God. Let me tell you, first of all, let me tell you how nervous I was. So let me tell you that. But I just think it's amazing because when I looked up this woman's platform, I was like, man, this queen is doing some things. She's doing some things. And she's actually Philadelphia's most valued motivational speaker. And so when I first saw it and I was reading through all these things, it's only a matter of time. Philadelphia has recognized her gift now, and it's only a matter of time before the rest of the world does. So I'm so glad that we were able to get her into the QIA room and, that she was able to speak with us and leave us with those nuggets, of everything that she talked about. Because I'm telling you, everyone has a point where they're like, you know what, am I good enough? Everyone has a point, am I worthy enough? And, what I do, is it important? And we all come to that point. Of course, we're on different levels as far as it goes. She's already built up her company, and like I said, sold it to France, a multi-million-dollar company. That's amazing in itself. One day I'll be able to have the option to sell to France or wherever else, but or not sell at all. But what is amazing is I do believe that this woman is definitely somebody to keep your eye out on because Philadelphia has recognized her gift, and it's only a matter of time before the whole world, recognizes this gift because she's amazing. And look, let me tell you, I do urge you, go and look up the YouTube videos that she has, her TED Talk. She's definitely someone that flourishes in productivity and all these other great things that she has on here. When I tell you she's a strategist, just read the bio, just read the profile. It's amazing. But I thank you guys once again for joining me on this Friday. Y'all, we were supposed to jam our way in, but we had a guest. We had to behave ourselves. So we were supposed to jam because it's Friday, y'all. What are you doing on this lovely Friday? I want to recognize some of you guys. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's why I believe, even though sometimes, because I grew up, that's my mother right there, but I grew up and it wasn't necessarily that I was made to feel that way, even at a younger age. It wasn't that. I just think life began to happen, and the more life began to happen, and allowing people to tell me things that were not true, but because I already felt that some way in myself already, my how they call the reticular activation system, my reticular activation system was like, you already feel that way and they're saying it, so it must be true, and so that's why I was like, okay, and even though sometimes I'd be like, oh, that ain't me, and all that stuff, that's a seed planted in, and I hide it in the back, so when something happens that and it is an example of something, I said, oh, that's very similar to what they said I wasn't, or something like that. A lot of times we fight in our mind, in our own mind, and we're captive in our own mind. But we almost have to take we do. We have to take every thought captive and hold it there hold it there and say, okay, does this resonate? Number one, does God tell me this? Number two, does this resonate with my core values of who I know I am? And you have to ask yourself. And if it isn't, then cast it away. Cast it away. It's not a good thought. But if it is, and that's about, building up self-esteem. And I know, like, some people say, okay, it's self-esteem. No one else can build your self-esteem. But there are times when people begin to speak positive, and you hear positive, and they're pouring positive in. They keep pouring positive in. That you're going, when you do things, you're gonna say, okay, that resembles what they said. That's positive about me, so that must be true. So it does help in some way build up your self-esteem. But so I'm just excited. I'm glad. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And even with, let's just say, working in your gift, especially, and that's why I believe that, believe that this day and age, that God is doing amazing things, to where He's taking people that feel like they're not good enough, feel like that they're not worthy enough, and that's exactly who He uses. Because the thing is, you're humble. You're like, you know what? I know I can't do this in myself, and you're humble. And so I believe a lot of times that's what He's doing in this season. People that maybe haven't been in church forever, people maybe that haven't been doing this for a long time, or haven't been working in that gift for a long time. But those are the ones that, because they have such a humble spirit about them, and people that have humble spirits, and that's why I love Miss Penny even for coming on here. People that have humble spirits always remember where they came from, and never look at the small guy as you're not. I don't have time to talk to you. Even if it's 10 minutes in time, like, I'm excited, guys. Even if it's 10 minutes, just the fact that she came in here. And that's why I ask each and every one of you guys, even the ones that are going to replay this, please go and look up her YouTube channel, and support her and subscribe to her channel, because you definitely this is a woman that you want to follow, even with learning all these strategies that she has in productivity. Even in her book, I believe it's called even War Against Time, and just reading over all of her information, I think will end up helping us. And I hope I did the book justice. I hope I mentioned the name of it right. I wrote it down, but obviously through all this writing that I did, because I took notes too, guys. Through all this writing I did, it's all over the place. But definitely look up her information, especially for my queens that are working in business and have their companies, and as far as working in strategy, we're always learning more information. We're always building up more information, and so she definitely has information that we want to kind of pick at, and dissect, so that we can learn even the more. Hey, Miss Julia, thank you for coming, Queen, into the QIA room. My girl, Margaret, thank you, Margaret. Margaret's always showing up in the room. Thank you, Margaret, for coming. Sister Joyce right here, thank you for coming. Thank you. She tells you thank you, Miss Zenker. So hopefully Miss Zenker sees that before we went off. Y'all know I don't, my physical eyes don't see that well, so I didn't want to be squinting while I told you we had to behave while Miss Zenker was in the QIA room. So I didn't want to squint trying to read comments while Miss Zenker was here. Okay, so just please don't judge me. Just I'm believing in God that once all this open up, the glasses place will open back up, and so now I can go get my prescription for my eyeglasses, and so I'll be able to see again, guys. I'll be able to see again. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining into the QIA room. It was it's very and beautiful every time I see you guys even joining in. So I thank you guys. Listen, I know it's Friday, and celebrate your Friday. Celebrate the fact that you woke up this morning. Celebrate the fact that you're here. So definitely celebrate it. Celebrate it. Okay. Yeah, definitely celebrate it. But listen, if you change your mind, you'll change your life. So if you change the way that you think, your life will forever change. But say it with me. Yes, that's exactly what it is. You said it. You're your only limitation. You are your only limitation. You're the only one that stops you. So just be great at whatever it is. Keep pushing, keep going. And remember, you are worthy enough. You are worth it. And you're going to be amazing. You just have to put the work in. You have to put your best foot forward. You have to show that you're willing to work for it, and watch your life forever change. Watch it begin to transform before your eyes. And sometimes it's a lot quicker than you thought in the first place. You look back and it's been 3-4 years, and you're like, wow, look how far I've come. If you need to get in contact with me, this is one way you can contact me via email, shamikawillmotivate@gmail.com. Also, for those that are on my Facebook page, you can always, message me. I do check that also. I check my email every day. So whichever way you need to get in contact me with. But, thank you guys so much just for being amazing and being who you are. Let me check one more comment before we leave. Let me check one more comment. Thank you. You look, you beautiful too, sis. Let me tell you, this sister queen right here, this one of them prayer warriors right there. Let me tell you, she is. Look, and I told her, with what my mother and what the church wants to do, we definitely have to get in contact with Sister Joyce, right, with Evangelist Joyce right here, because she is an amazing woman. She is a great woman of God. But yeah, definitely, Queens. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I am going to sign off. If I had some music ready for you guys, I'd play it on my way out. But being that it's not prepped, I'm going to have to just go, okay? But I love you guys, and I will talk to you again on Monday morning, okay? Monday morning. We'll see what other guests we have coming up. I don't want to ruin the surprise, so we'll see what other guests we have coming up through all of this. But I love you guys, and I will talk to you again on Monday. Bye.